Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, 25th of May, 2022. In UK, they are celebrating the Queen Jubilee.
Next week.
So, next week. Yes. Here in Ireland, we
17
still have
years.
sun. Looks this. Our day is bright. You know? So good to have you all here with us. It's so good to when we have this dream team here with us. It's perfect. And today, talking about dream team, we will discuss today the influence of the spirits in our life, how far they can go, if they incite any kind of influence. So all these we're gonna discuss today. So Fayute, my Irish friends, thank you for being here with us, and I want to say good night, Naja. Labas.
Labas rytas, labas vakaras, laba diena. Šiandien mūsų tema yra dvasių įtaka žemiškam gyvenimui. Kalbėsime apie prakeikimus ir palaiminimus. Bus labai įdomu žinoti, kaip dvasių yra arba daro įtaką žemiškam gyvenimui. Tikiuosi, kad jums bus labai įdomu. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here with all of you. And I have to say hello to my cousin Vinicius, who is always with us. And even when I'm not here, he's always listening and to the weekly program.
Hello, Vinicius.
So it was very interesting to be in Brazil and talk to him about spirituality and about our program. So thank you for joining us, and we be talking about an interesting topic. See you.
Okay, my dear Gibbons, what's the news from the Queen's Island?
Wow. And the Commonwealth, don't forget that. Everything, planning a party here in our close to celebrate the Jubilee with the little flags and food and singing and dancing. That would be nice to celebrate 70 years of dedication and service to the nation and the Commonwealth. The Queen, I mean, like her or not, if you like the monarchy or not, she's an example of dedication and service, and we will pray for her that she be able to go through this year. And all of us, we are very happy anyway. Some are not, but we don't care about them. So it's welcome. Once again, it's wonderful to join together with people from so many different places, and to be here with you, learning and sharing a little bit of spirituality with everyone. And it's always an honor and a pleasure to be here, and welcome, and may God bless us all. And boa tarde, acho que no Brasil ainda é boa tarde. Prazer estar com vocês uma vez mais. Bem-vindos a todos. E esperamos que a reunião seja muito boa e maravilhosa. E aqui na Inglaterra nós estamos celebrando 70 anos da rainha. E, então, vai ter festas e tudo, vai ser muito bom. Bem-vindos, que Jesus abençoe o nosso trabalho de hoje. Amém. E aí?
Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Stevan. Bonsoir à tous. Bonjour à ceux qui sont aux Amériques ou en Océanie. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous ce soir pour vous parler de l'influence des esprits sur le monde corporel. Hello everyone. Hello Stevan, Silvia, Nadja. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Very happy to be here again with you for talking today about this interesting subject, which is the influence of the spirits on the corporeal world.
Okay, so introduction done. we go to our video. Let me put the video here. And there we go.
Hearing voices is a very common human experience. Sometimes it can happen during a period of time, or some people more regularity. What you need to think about when hearing voices, is what are the voices saying to you? Is this disturbing you? Is this affecting your daily life? Is this affecting your mental health? So if it's affecting your mental health, you need to be thinking, do I need to see a doctor? And see what's going on. Some people who have what we call mediumship, that means the ability to hear the spirits from the other side, they can hear the spirits. So what spirits do we hear? The spirits that are linked to us, that are familiar to us, that are on the same wavelength as us. So if you're hearing spirits giving you not so good suggestions, then you need to think about how are you going to improve your own thought process so that doesn't mean anything to you. So for example, if they're suggesting, let's go and have a drink, or let's have more drinks, this kind of thing, but you're a person who doesn't drink, you're probably not going to be tempted. But if you're still struggling and thinking that you would like to have a drink, then that'll be harder for you. So it's about thinking about, it's like any friend. Whatever a friend says to you, you can follow what they say or not. You have always 100% control over your own decisions. It is when they say things that have, like, say, mirror what you might be interested in, that you find temptation or difficulty. Spirits can come through and give us intuition messages. So some people can hear it as a loud voice, or some people can hear it as a voice in their head, but say, what is this voice telling me? And if this was my friend from next door saying this, would I listen or would I not? So it's just having that difference about not thinking, oh, this is something that's coming from the spiritual world, I need to follow this. No, this is a suggestion. Is it good? Is it bad? You make up your mind if you follow it or not. If you think, like, even in the Bible, Paul says we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. So the spiritual world is, because we're thinking of our world here, and if we don't see things, we think they don't exist. But just imagine all the waves of all the cell phones, of all the TVs and everything that's going around everywhere, with communication going on at the moment that we are not tuning into. These things, they are around us all the time. So we might tune in and we might not. So we need to take control about what we're listening to. So change the channel if we're not liking what it is. So we can make an effort to change what channel we're listening into.
Okay, so thank you, Spirits Academy, for the wonderful video, and Sinclair with her wonderful explanations and simplicity. So I miss you, and badly. So let's go to our introduction here. But before going to the introduction, I want to say buona notte, Nancy. Let me see who is more with us here. Hipólito Rebolo, boa noite. So we have more people, but they don't identify themselves, so we cannot say. So for all of you, have a good night, enjoy, and let's talk about the influence of spirits in our life. So, as we saw in the video around us, there are spirits of different orders. And these orders go since from perfection to imperfection. Okay? And a spirit is considered, in our view, bad, but in the eyes of the good spirits, that spirit is not bad. That spirit just doesn't know everything, doesn't know the story, doesn't know what comes next. The spirit is not evolved, so the spirit is not bad. But they are surrounding us and they influence us through thoughts. We attract spirits. So our thoughts works like a dial in a radio. If you want to listen, I don't know, rock music, you may turn your radio to 100.1 megahertz, and then you listen rock. If you want to listen classic music, you just need to change your dial to 99.5, and then you have classic music. And our thoughts works exactly like this dial. What do you want to listen? Rock, classic, good spirits, bad spirits, evolved thoughts, not evolved thoughts. So it's up to us. Paraphrasing what Anne Sinclair said in the video, Paul Tarso said, a cloud of witness surround us. So spirits can influence in our thoughts. They can suggest in ideas and actions. But even though they give us these suggestions, we will always have our free will. And our free will give us the autonomy to decide what we want to follow. Do you want to follow the idea from the spirits or you don't? Nobody's pushing you. At the end, it's your responsibility. Saying this, I'd like to start today with Charles, as usual. And Charles, in the Spiritist magazine from June 1862, the title is called Familiar, and Mr. Sanson said, open quotes, the air that surrounds you, impalpable as we are, carries the character of your thought. The breath you exhale is, so to speak, the written page of your thoughts. They are read and commented on by the spirits who constantly rub shoulders with you. They are messengers of divine telegraphy to which nothing escapes. Close quotes. Would you mind to tell us what's behind the scenes here from Mr. Sanson message, please?
Well, that's a good one, Stevan. Well, so just quickly talking about Mr. Sanson, he was a member of one of the first friend of Kardec, first reader of the Spirit's book, and really understood and adhered to it and so on. So there was a quite narrow relationship between Allan Kardec and Mr. Sanson. And Mr. Sanson, some years later, he was older than Kardec, and he got ill. And his illness was, he was foreseeing that he would die. And that's why, if I remember well, in 1860, a little bit before, he wrote a letter to Allan Kardec asking him a favor. If I die, please, could you please call my spirit to communicate as quick as possible after my death? And he was explaining the reason and so on. And Allan Kardec was really seeing that as an opportunity also to understand better how is the transition, what is happening when we go back to the spiritual world. And indeed, some months later, or 1.5 years later, Mr. Sanson died. It was the 21st of April, 1862. And Allan Kardec, he took the opportunity. Okay, he wrote us a letter, so let's do what he asked to do. And it was 1 hour before he was put in the grave, before his funeral, that he went there with a medium, aside of his body, of the body of Mr. Sanson, and they called him, and he managed to give a communication just 1 or 2 days after his death. And it was quite interesting. And he was asking, please continue, call me one more. We have to continue this talk. And that's why there was the meeting at the Société Parisienne des Études Spirites, the Spiritist group that Kardec created and led, was on Friday. So he explained to the other members, and they told, no, let's go and ask him for more questions. And that's then when 2nd of May, they, how to say it, called him again. No, 25th of April first, and then 2nd of May. And this quote that you are giving me is from 2nd of May. So Mr. Sanson had already some more time to get out of his body somehow, and out of the trouble, which generally is existing during more or less time. For Mr. Sanson, it was quite short because he was always a good man, doing good, helping a lot, studying, collaborating. So it was a, how to say, a high evolved spirit. And his detachment from the physical body was quite quick. And then the quote you are putting me to comment is basically Mr. Sanson answering to a question that Allan Kardec asked him, and that was then the 2nd of May, so more or less 1 week after he died. And Kardec, it was a question number 15 of that talk. So you see, it was quite a long talk with a lot of exchanges with that spirit. Kardec asked, you say you are reading our minds. Could you make us understand how this transmission of thought takes place? Okay, that was the question. You are reading our minds. So the spirits, Mr. Sanson was capable to read the minds and even the thought of Allan Kardec before he puts the question. And sometimes he answered to the questions that Allan Kardec did not yet place. Because, again, Kardec was preparing the question, his thoughts, and so the spirit gave evidence that he was clearly reading in the thoughts of Allan Kardec. Okay? And so the answer is quite long, and a part of the answer, Mr. Sanson is quite explaining. It's not easy to explain because you humans are not used to this type of things. But if I want to give an image, and then it's the air that surrounds you, impalpable as we are. So this is not 100% true. Of course, there is air around us, but okay, when you put the hand out of the car or the train at 100 kilometers per hour, or when you see the plane, you feel the effect of the air. So it's not so impalpable as he said, but nevertheless, it's a good image. When we are like we are here, we do not feel the air, and unless we are blowing or something like that, putting it into movement. And indeed, the air carries the character of your thought. So when we express our thoughts, as I'm doing it right now, the air, I'm moving the air, which is then moving the mic, and then going through the network, and then coming to your loudspeaker or your earphones, and putting the air in movement again, and then through your ears, the tympanum, you get these signals which are then decoded and interpreted by the brain, so you can hear and then understand what I'm saying. So he takes this image of the air that we cannot see in the normal state, which is transmitting our thoughts in the incarnated life. And he says in the spiritual worlds, it's exactly the same. So the thoughts in your brain are transmitted through the universal cosmic fluid, and the spirits, they have this capacity of what we call today telepathy. The word telepathy was not existing at Kardec's time, but they taught transmission of thoughts, as Kardec put in the question I just read. How does this transmission of thought take place? Okay, and then Mr. Sanson continues by saying, the breath you exhale is, so to speak, the written page of your thoughts. That is not always true, because a lot of people are thinking one thing and saying something else. Okay, but generally, okay, you think something, you express it, so it's reflecting our thoughts. And this is a good point, because the spirits, they can see our real thoughts. If we say something different than what we are thinking, they see it immediately. And that's extremely interesting, because in the spiritual world, hypocrisy and lies doesn't work. Definitively not. And I say in the spiritual world, we are today in the spiritual world because we are a spirit which is currently incarnated in a physical body. So Mr. Sanson could read into Kardec's mind, even though Kardec was incarnated at that moment. But since Kardec is a spirit, or we all are spirits, we are thinking, and the spirits, they can catch, also read in the thoughts of the incarnated people. So this means if now I'm lying, if my spiritual mentor is here just beside me, he will immediately see that I'm lying. Isn't that wonderful? Frightening, no? Depends on each one. If you always are honest and never hypocritical and you never lie, no problem at all. Correct? No problem. But if you have a lot of things to hide, it's good that you get this awareness that it's hidden maybe for other incarnated people, but for the spirits, it's absolutely not hidden. And even the incarnated people, once we all disincarnate and go back to the spiritual world, then the hypocrisy is we are naked somehow. Our thoughts are completely naked. We cannot hide anything anymore. So this is something which is extremely interesting, which comes directly from this short answer that Mr. Sanson gave. So the breath is the written page of your thoughts. And the thoughts are not transmitted by the air, but they are transmitted by the universal cosmic fluid. So it's not electromagnetic waves as well. It is thought which gets transmitted through the universal cosmic fluid, which enables this telepathy and transmission of thought, communication through direct transmission of thoughts between spirits. Okay. They are the messengers of divine telegraphy, to which nothing escapes. And so Mr. Sanson was explaining how he could read our thoughts. So let's see now how we can apply this to the subject of today, influence of the spirits in the corporeal world. If we have good thoughts, we will attract good spirits. They will immediately see our good thoughts and encourage them, help us to put them in practice and whatever, talking through our conscience to maybe improve or correct a little bit, because sometimes we think we have good thoughts, but we can be also mistaken. We can our thoughts are not so good as we think they are, and so on. But on the other side, if we have bad thoughts, what do you think will happen? Anna Sinclair was very clearly telling in the video, if you have bad thoughts, you will immediately attract spirits which are in synchrony with affinity with these bad thoughts. And what will they do? You enter in the vicious circle, and they will encourage these bad thoughts and so on. And that's why it's fundamental what Anna Sinclair told us in the video today, is we need really to know what we want. Do we want good or evil? Do we want to progress? Do we want to help, or do we want to jeopardize? Do we want to this is up to us. This is this liberty and autonomy that you commented, Stevan, at the beginning. And according to this, of course, if we change our mind and from evil go to good, we will feel some resistance. Some spirits will try to secure us in the evil, but you will have the other spirits pushing us, helping us to push us in the good. So at the end, it's up to us to decide, do we really want to do good or not? Do we really want to have good thoughts and reject or fight against the bad thoughts or not? And as soon as this happens, this then is a key factor for the type of influence we will suffer in this incarnation. I will stop here. There would be a lot more to think, but thanks a lot to Mr. Sanson. He was a good spirit. It helped a lot, and we learned a lot with this episode of his what he talked and the teachings he brought to bring us some light about all these mechanisms. And I thank all of you for your attention.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. And I encourage everyone to read the full message from Mr. Sanson. It's quite interesting, and the brilliant questions they asked him. So it's fantastic. It is fantastic. So today, Dr. Nadja is with us, and always we have a scientific question for her. And the question for her is, if there is any study that shows we are influenced by third parties, does science can see it, or it still need to be proved?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, it's a difficult question, actually, because from one point of view, because we go into that material aspect of science, that needs to prove everything, that needs to prove that there is spirituality, that there is God, or there is no God, there is no spirit. So, of course, that we have numerous studies published in very good papers, peer-reviewed papers, is talking about spirituality, showing how spirituality can have an impact in our health, in our well-being, our mental health, our physical health. And Dr. Rupert Sheldrake has many times spoken about it, and he has books written about the spirituality and the impact in our well-being and mental health. And he mentioned that the result of this numerous studies is that taking part in religious or spiritual practice makes you happier, healthier, and you live longer. So quoting him. So that's science trying to prove our connection with God, trying to prove the spirituality in our day's life. Of course, that some other aspects of this connection with the spirituality, with God, with the spirits, is a little bit difficult to prove, because how can you explain the miraculous cures that happened in Lourdes, for example, in France, or people who have faith, have so much faith that they are going to be cured, that they're going to be free from chronic disease, for example. And then, of course, they, with time and persistent change in their health, their lifestyle, their nutrition, and making these connections with the spirituality, of the spiritual world, with religious events sometimes, then they can change the course of their lives. So from this point of view, so it's difficult to explain the how can be someone cured and live 10, 20 years when the doctor said, oh, you have 3 months to live only. We have been talking a lot through our meetings and lives here about the post-materialistic science that is proving that the mind is not just the product of our brain, that there is much more there. So we have studies about near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, the deathbed visions, the terminal lucidity when patients who are terminally ill, they can talk to their relatives who have already, or they see their relatives or family or even their pet who have already died before, but they still have this contact. So how can you explain this connection with the spirituality scientifically? But for centuries, we have been having influences, spiritual influences. We have the shamans, the healers, other with these abilities that can use it for financial profit or fame. But various times humanity has recorded these dialogues with the different dimensions of life. So prophetic visions, dreams, insights that have saved lives, for example, predictions, discoveries in sciences, angels or Jesus visiting someone in their home, in their daily life, for example. They have this spiritual event, or to say event, maybe a situation, and then what do we call this? Do we call this intuition, or do we call this communication with God or spirits, paranormal power, mediumistic event, channeling? Some people say channeling, or intuition, inspiration. So some surveys, there's a World Health Organization that has done a survey about people's experience, anomalous experiences, without using any drugs or being half asleep, that showed that 12.5% of the world population has had some anomalous experience, which is hearing voices or seeing people. So this is 12.5% of the world population. And from this 12.5, only 10% had any diagnosis of mental disease. So it's not really much who have mental disease, which we have to be aware of, that people as individuals have and said that if you have this experience that you're hearing voices and you're not feeling well, it's not according to your beliefs, or your your feelings are not right when you have this kind of like suggestion in your mind, for example, or then you need to be aware of what you are vibrating, because this is something also about connection and vibration. Studies have shown that vibration, that going back to the studies, the scientific part of the program here, to talk about the studies, but when you can find online and on YouTube many of this type of research, that you have a plant and then you say good words to a plant and you say bad words to the other plant, and then you see how one looks very beautiful and the other one is dying, or a pot of with rice. So you cook the rice and then you put in the pot, and then you say good words to that rice and you curse the other one. So one you are blessing, so you're sending a good vibration, and the other one you are cursing, saying bad words or swearing. And then you see how good, bright white the rice is looking, and the other one is full of mold. So so if the rice and the plant can have this impact, imagine ourselves. And so if we are in this vibrating good, so we are attracting good thoughts, good feelings, and we are receiving, we are sending good vibrations, and we are receiving it as well. But if we are not in a good, no, how can I say, if we are not in a good situation in our lives, if we are a little bit depressed, anxious, stressed, or having difficulties at some point, so you tend to vibrate negatively. So a low vibration, and then you attract this negative vibration from others. That could be people around you, or could be the spirits, and vice versa. You can attract them, or you can, try you. It's like an electric field that you attract them to you. So you attract people, and you attract the spirits as well. So it's syntony. Syntony is the word that I was looking for. So of course that negative experiences, or your thoughts, your minds are very confused. You're not able to, to think clearly, what we call cognitive deficit. Then you should see a doctor to talk about it, and psychiatrists. And the psychiatrists are nowadays, especially in the US, they in Brazil as well, but for a different reason. So they are talking about spirituality more during the consultation, so you can have this connection. No? So it's not just the science, like in the lab, that we are talking about, but it's the daily science, that this daily talk to the patient and asking what's going on, how you're feeling, what's the impact of religiosity or spirituality in your life. And as I said, the spirituality is a connection with God. But for me, I think the important part is not just trying to prove, as we've been trying to prove with science, that the spirits exist. So we have the beginning of the spiritism with Camille Flammarion. I'm sorry, Charles, I'm not speaking French properly. But Charles Richet, I'm sorry. Or even William Crookes, then they are all doing research and investigating, trying to, make it clear that we have this communication with the spirits. But for me, Nadja, myself, I think we have to feel it. We have to feel it more. We have not try to prove anything, but trying to feel in ourselves, try to hear the voices, and that makes us feel good. That is like a friend, let's say, send in the video. It's like a friend telling you, or if you were going to tell a friend, give some advice, what would you say? If it's someone in your family, would you like to help, or would you like to give an advice that makes the person go in the wrong way? So that's how you have to think as well, and feel. Have faith in God, of course, and in yourself, that you are here on earth in this period of time, in this incarnation, to move forward always. So have faith that things are now not good, but change the channel. Go listen to some good music, read good book. No, don't watch the news before going to sleep, and then don't use the radio station, the wrong radio station. Try to connect to the good spirits, the vibration. Steven. So that's the important way. How do you feel? Do you feel good? That's the telepathy that Charles was saying. So telepathy, it's important when we're thinking about someone. We're sending our love through our thought, and the person will get it immediately. And some studies are being done about it as well. But again, we're trying to prove that this exists. But I think everybody has inside this feeling that, yes, I miss my mom, I think about her, so that, I send this thought of love to her. So even if she's in the spiritual world, so she will get it, she will feel it, and she will feel good. And I'm sure that sometimes you have this also sensation that, no, you suddenly think about someone who is in Brazil, or someone who is already dead, and you feel good. You don't feel sad, you don't feel angry, you don't feel nervous, anxious, irritated, agitated. So you have this good feeling a good thought, because it could be your guardian angel, could be your mentor, spiritual mentor, could be someone who died, a friend, a family member. Then you feel good. So I think probably most of people, or even 100% of people, may have had this. You just need to use this sympathy. No? So you have to have your mind open, your eyes open, feel your heart, feel yourself, connect to yourself, feel it, and you be sure that you're doing the good thing because you feel good. Because if something is not right, is unsure, and maybe it's time to think, rethink, take a deep breath, listen to good music, sleep, and then on the next day, maybe you have a better idea for doing something that you have to do. So, as I said, I will again emphasize that if you have feeling bad experiences, or you're feeling unwell, feeling not good, or confused, unable to organize your thoughts, or feeling kind of like not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, so go look for a doctor, to talk to a doctor, talk to a family member, to ask help for you. Sometimes it's difficult for us ourselves to take this first step, but it's important to get help. And these times we have so much energy around us that is vibrating. First the pandemics, then the war, then something else that's coming, and it's just this energy around us that we need to try to break this bad energy and change to the good channel and good energy, and then this will sure make you feel much better. And I think that's what I had to say. I'm sorry I prolonged a little bit, but yeah.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Well, and Miss Gibbons, don't forget, my dear, the last shall be the first. Always. Don't forget.
Last but not least, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had this explanation, this brilliant explanation Charles gave, this wonderful testimony from Nadja, how to prove that we have this influence. So why we do have spirits assisting us to do bad things or good things?
Okay, why do we do it? Well, why do we do it? Because I think it was said before, because we are spirits and we are there and we are suffer the influence of our surrounding. And it's interesting because things that Charles said and Nadja said today, even though the spirits, we don't see anything, but we sense it. We sense things even through incarnate. If someone is being very devious or being difficult, even though we might not see us clearly, as Charles was explaining with the thoughts, but we sense it, don't we? I mean, I think Nadja said something very similar just before, in a sense that someone sends you a thought that is negative, you feel it. Someone is angry with you and sending bad thoughts, you feel it. And I think if you send negative thoughts towards people, you feel it as they feel it, and you feel that they feel, because the response to you, it's not as pleasant as maybe it could be or something. So I think it's very much within us as well. And I think one thing that Charles was saying, we have to really correct our thoughts and try to think in a positive way all the time. And also, I mean, the spirits influence us, because in one of in question, actually, 466 of the Spirit's book, they say, why does God allow spirits to incite us to evil? And I think in a way, God does never incite anybody to do evil, because they don't, God does not want people to do evil things. And I think we are in a situation in which we are in our corporeal life. We are in a process of learning. We are in a process of spiritual growth. And things will happen to us, trials and tribulations and difficulties and difficult moments will happen in our lives. And those things are part of being human. And that's what makes us equal. And I think that's what allows us to learn empathy when others are going through difficult times as well. And I think the influence that the spirits will have over us, and as was being very clearly said before by both speakers, is that we attract to us the spirits that feel and think the way we do. If that is, I think one of the things we needed to understand is there is always this connection, this it's like we vibrate, everything is in vibration. So if we vibrate here, we will have spirits that will vibrate here. But if we're down there, we are down there. So, if we have tendencies to do negative things, to commit crimes, or say someone who may be a gossip, like to always talk about people, they will attract that kind of spirit. They will, or someone who thinks of doing, committing a crime, they will attract to them those kind of spirits. And I think Charles explained something that was very good, in a sense that maybe we have a thought that is not that big, but then we attract to us all the spirits who think the way we do or want us to do things. And before we know it, things will go like, it's like a snowman, isn't it? It's like a snowball. It goes running, growing and growing and growing. To the end, you don't know what was your thought, what was the influence, because it becomes really very, very heavy. And we needed to be very aware of that God always helps. God is always merciful. And if we ask for help, if we ask for guidance, we will have it, because we attract also the good spirits. And I think one of the things that we usually need to understand is that the good spirits are always around us, but they will not influence us in a way that contrary to what we want to do. They will not, they are there sending us positive thoughts, helping us, giving us a lot of support to do good, but they will not interfere in our choices. Whereas the spirits that are not so in a level that they understand more, because they are unhappy, because they still don't know any better, and they take pride and joy in making other people suffer. And it's not a question of spirits. I mean, we see human beings doing exactly that, because we don't change once we leave our physical body behind. So they will directly interfere on us. They will send a lot of negative thoughts, and they will interfere with us. So I think in a speech as well that Anna was saying, is like a friend asking us to do something, and it's our choice to do it or not. And I think this is very, very important to know, because unless in some cases in which there is a lot of things from the past and the spirits are there, enemies from the past, there is a lot of very negative influence, and people will suffer, in obsessions, in fascination, and, going to the point of possession even. But most of the things of the day-to-day life that we are influenced, it's, we can manage them. We can manage them. And I think in question 459 of the Spirit's book, Kardec asked the spirits, does the spirit influence the corporeal world? And he says the spirit's influence much more than we can imagine. And in sometimes they influence our thoughts, and sometimes they control them. And I think this control is given, it's not taken, it's given. It's given by our faults, our weaknesses, our thoughts. I mean, if we are angry with someone and we have thoughts of vengeance, then, we have all this influence as well. And before we know it, we are in so much anger, in so much hatred that we didn't feel originally. So we have to be careful with that, because we choose in a way to accept the thoughts, and because our own weaknesses and our own faults will attract this weight coming towards us. So I think one of the things we need to do really is to trust in God, that although there are times in which spirits are allowed to influence us, is more or less to test if we are constant in what we're doing, if our desire to do good, if our desire to be a better person, it's, we have a determination to do that. So in a way, it's a kind of test. But God never allows any spirit to do evil. That's their own choice. And whatever they're doing, be incarnate or discarnate, if they influence other people to commit crimes, they'll be responsible as well. And this is very important. Even if they are in the spiritual world, they still be responsible for what they influence others to do. And so we have the good spirits sitting by us, and sometimes they move away from us because we start doing so many wrong things, and we start going into what we're being influenced to do, because our thoughts were in such a negative way, that we attracted others. So they'll move away from us for a while. But God, I think it's important to know, God never ever abandons us. We are never abandoned children. We are forever being taken care of. Sometimes we make our choices and we do the wrong things, but we can always return. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that we learning in Spiritism, that is redemption. No matter how far down we've fallen, and how many mistakes we make, once we decide to change, to be better, we will have the hope, we will have the help immediately, and there is always redemption. So I think if we trust that God is helping us, and I think, we pray and we ask the good spirit to support us, and if we do, immediately our thoughts are changed. I think Nadja said something, listen to some music, because especially when we are very influenced by spirit, and sometimes we are, because we are sad, or because we've been through a very difficult situation and we are upset, we're a bit depressed, whatever things, challenges we have in life, we do lower our vibration as well. And sometimes you attract the sad, the unhappy, and they will feel, we feel what they feel when they come to us, and it becomes this connection between them. But if we ask for help, if we ask for God's help and the good spirits, they will help us. And I think Jesus said that in the Gospels, in he says, knock and it will be opened. Ask and it will be given you. So we know that at times we can not control, but we can ask help to be sustained in a situation. I myself had an experience like that something had happened, and I became very, very sad, very, very upset with what had happened. And I was coming home from shopping, and I stopped and, waiting for the bus. And then I was thinking about what had happened and how sad I was. And even though I pray and everything, but I did get involved. And before I know it, when I sort of realized what was happening, I was crying so much that my clothes were wet with the tears falling down, and I was completely unaware that I had gone into this sad, desperate world, thinking, oh, maybe I'll throw myself under that bus, or and of course I was helped. I was helped. I was shaken out of that thing. And then, oh my God. And then I started to pray. And then I saw the situation and I saw who it was. But it wasn't that person's fault, it was mine. They saw my sadness and they felt the same sadness and they came. And I think now, whenever I feel that I don't, even if I have a reason to be sad, I pray and I say, please, God, help me here to lift my thoughts and, listen to some music, go a book, maybe watch a bit of telly, go out to see the garden, play with the squirrels, and immediately you're in a different world. And you are stronger and you can help yourself, because the spirit benefactors are our friends. They always help. They work for, and God is always there. He's the Father that sustains us, help us. And if we just ask for help, we will be given it. And we need to learn to be aware of what we're thinking. And if we start feeling something bigger than we had originally, said, oh, stop. So it's just a question of learning as well. So, I mean, I hope, I said something, because I think the point was made before, and just to emphasize it now, the spirits influence us because they are attracted by our thoughts. If we have negative thoughts, there'll be negative spirits. And if we have good thoughts and we ask for help for good thoughts, then we have the good thoughts. It's always up to us to what we go through. So just be aware and, pray, go out, have a look at the world, see things. Life is such a joy, and we are helped that way. So that's it. Thank you. I think I went on too far, but
Well, wonderful. And this come across what Rob said to us. That's why it's so important to review our thoughts. Perform a nightly review, as St. Augustine suggested, is a great starting point. Thank you, Robbie. Yes, my friend, we needed to watch us 24 hours a day. We need to watch our thoughts, watch ourselves. And my plan worked because I remember that example, what happened to you, Silvia. And I said, how am I going to say to her without telling her to tell the story? So my
you
plan
probably sent me the thought, because I had not nothing about that at all.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about it, actually.
Yeah, my
but
plan
it came to me. Yeah,
my plan worked. Okay, that's
yeah.
it.
Because
Good.
it is true. It was something, of course, it was very upsetting. It was a very upsetting experience, and hurtful. But I started feeling the world against me and things that it was not my reality, So you needed to be careful. And I think, like Aulus, in one of the Andrea Luiz books says, a change of mind is a change of life. So we need to really educate our thoughts, because it's very important.
Yes, yes. So we are reaching our end of the show. So let me put it here, our announcements. If you don't do this, Elsa will be very mad with me. And there we go. Next show, we will have a special guest. It's Roberto Watanabe. He is the president of São Paulo State Spiritist Federation. So he will be with us. And the topic is Signs of the Times. So don't miss it. It's 1st of June, 9 p.m. London time. And we will see you here. Okay? So on the 28th, which is this Saturday, we will have our European gathering. And the topic is long-term targets of spiritist groups. Step in that direction. And we will have our friend Charles Kempf, Ingo Meyer, and Pekka giving this wonderful speech at 7 p.m. London time. So don't miss it. It's a Zoom group. The code is here. The passcode is here. So please join us to see what these gentlemen here want to share with us. So tomorrow, our friend Guilherme Diaz will give a speech at the Spirit Society of London, Spiritism, a Body of Knowledge. So you have to go to see, because this is a in-person meeting. So the venue is the Quakers Meeting House in London, and it starts at 6:30 p.m. And also, we are still having, it's almost finishing, but we're still having our webinar about the introduction to Spiritism, given by our friend Vanessa Ferreira. So it's free event in Zoom, so don't miss that. And always, every Wednesday at 4 p.m., we have our coffee break with Kardec. Every Saturday, 10:30 a.m., we do have our free online course about the book, the Medium's book from Allan Kardec. Every other Tuesday, we have 2 shows, Time to Talk and study of the book No Solar. Okay? So please don't miss, and I hope to meet you in one of these rooms. That's it, my folks. We need to go. Nadja needs to sleep. Charlie's as well. Silvia and I, we still have like an hour niche before.
I'm already in the future, no? I'm on the 26th.
Yeah, Nadja is already in the future.
You're already in the future.
Charlie's nearly there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say thank you, Nancy Valente. Thank you, My Way to Play, Robbie Brown, Costa Ali, Daniel Nogueira. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here with us, watching us, and I hope to see you all next week. So once again, my friends, it was wonderful.
Anything you need, just contact us through the Facebook or here, send a message or email, and we will help. We need to talk.
Okay.
Night.
Night. Boa noite,
Bye.
Charles.
Okay, bye. God bless everyone. Have a blessed week. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you, Nadja.
Nice